Hi, welcome to the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast. And today we are going to be talking about title and escrow. Today I am with Samantha Williams from Pioneer Title. Thanks for joining us today, Samantha.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, so in our discussions in the office, we've realized that a lot of people have some confusion with what escrow is, what a title company does. And so today our goal is to try to clear that up for them. And who better to help us do that than someone who's been in the business for 19 years?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, Samantha, let's start with what exactly is escrow?
So escrow is different among many states in the United States. In Arizona specifically, your escrow officer, your escrow agent is a neutral third party. They act on behalf of both buyer and seller based on written instruction only. We handle all of the money in a transaction. We hold all of the money until we are instructed to record on a transaction and then disperse the funds. We also draw up all of the documents to enable a closing. So we're drawing up all the documents that transfer ownership from the seller to the buyer.
Okay. So, and it's obviously important that you act on written instruction only. So if something needs to be done, is that where all of those addendums that people have to sign come into play?
Absolutely. And so if something wants to be changed after a purchase contract is executed, then we do need an addendum changing any of the terms of the purchase contract, whether it's a closing date, a credit, a home warranty, a purchase price. There's numerous things that can be changed on an addendum.
Okay. So any little detail needs to be changed. It's going to be written up in an addendum.
That's correct.
Okay. And then you said that you handle the money of it. So let's say a buyer, they've probably been talked to if they're in Arizona about your earnest money. So they turn their earnest money into you.
Correct.
You hold the money and then make sure it gets credited correctly at the end?
Correct.
Okay.
So earnest money in Arizona is given to the title company to hold. If there is a cancellation, that earnest money is up for, it can either go back to the buyer if it's to be returned to the buyer, or it goes to the seller. And again, that depends on the terms in the contract. If we do go forward to closing, then we apply that earnest money towards the buyer's closing costs. So they don't lose it. It's credited to them at the end when we go to close.
Okay. All right. So then that's escrow. What is title? Because everybody uses that interchangeably. It's not the same thing, though.
Definitely not the same thing,
Okay.
No. So the title is where we search the ownership of the property. We search to see if there are any liens of the property. We make sure that there is legal access to a property. So an escrow officer in Arizona, the escrow officer is the one that typically orders the title search from a title department. They have a title department that produces a title commitment. That title commitment will tell us who the current owner of record is. So who the last vesting deed shows it recorded in. It will also show us if there are any liens, judgments, delinquent taxes, anything like that have been assessed to the property. And it will also show us if there are CC&Rs on the property. So if there are restrictions to the property, it'll show us legal access. It'll show us easements that may appear on the property. It'll show us everything that has to do with the legal description of the property. From a title standpoint, we don't care if it's vacant land, if there's a shack on it, if there's residential property on it, if there's commercial property on it. None of that affects our title search. All we look for is the legal description and what is encumbering it on a written document standpoint, not a physical standpoint.
Okay. So you're looking at all of the paperwork, making sure everything is in line, and you say clear. Now, you were talking about liens and judgments and things. When you talk about those, what are those exactly?
So in a what we call a clean title commitment, right? It will show us that there's probably a mortgage on the property. Most people in Arizona have a mortgage on the property that will show up. One confusing part is that when it shows up on the title commitment, it shows up as the principal balance as of the day they took out the loan. So of course, people have made payments. They get their title commitment and they're like, I don't owe $250,000. that you're correct. That was from 2009, right? So it doesn't show us the payoff amount. It shows us the original loan amount. Liens and judgments can be attached to the property as well. So if somebody has outstanding child support liens, IRS tax liens, a credit card, a medical bill, any of those, attorneys can attach a lien to a property so that when you go to sell that property, they can get paid. So all of those, if there are any, either attached to your name and or the property, will show up. Because when we do a title search, we also search the owner's names to see if there are outstanding liens against the property.
Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
Also, we are licensed realtors practicing equal housing.
Now, let's get you back to the podcast.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about how to look at that title commitment in our next episode. But it sounds as though the buyer, well, the seller too, but the seller should know what's going to show up ideally. But the buyer is going to get some great information about the property. And if they have questions, they'll be able to get those questions answered at that time. Now, Arizona is a escrow state. But you mentioned earlier that all the states are different and they vary with the way a purchase is handled as far as in real estate. So what is the difference between an escrow state and a non-escrow state?
So there's a lot of differences even in California, where they have Northern California has a different title company than they do escrow company. Even though the escrow company does the same as they do in Arizona, there's two different companies. In Southern California, just like in Arizona, you have one title and escrow company, and they do both. Mm-hmm. We kind of split it on the Mississippi. If you're west of the Mississippi, you tend to be an escrow state.
Okay.
East of the Mississippi is an attorney state. So rather than having an escrow officer, you have an attorney. An attorney still orders title from a title company. However, the attorney is the one that draws up all of the paperwork. The attorney is the one that holds the money in a trust account, and the attorney is where you would go to sign your closing paperwork and complete the closing. So attorneys take that place.
Okay. All right. So typically then you're going to be working with either an escrow company or an attorney.
That is correct.
Just depending on which state you're in. Of course, you'll need to talk to your local expert to help you figure out and navigate that process. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us and we can put you in touch with a local person who would know the ins and outs of everything in your state. So then, Samantha, to wrap us up for this episode, how does all of these actions that you take, everything you do day in and day out, how does this protect our buyer and our seller in a transaction?
So title insurance is issued to the buyer at closing, and that ensures the buyer that they are the new owner of record, that that property is free and clear of any liens or encumbrances other than, of course, any that they put on at closing if they were to get a new mortgage. It also ensures that they have legal access to the property. If someone were to come later on and say that that property doesn't belong to them or it belongs to somebody else, or they can put a fence here or not there, that's where title insurance would cover you. The great thing about title insurance is a one-time payment, and it covers you for as long as you own the property. Also covers your heirs. So if you were to pass, your heirs still inherit that title insurance policy. It never goes away. You don't need to renew it. It's a one-time fee. It also protects lenders. So lenders require that they have title insurance to protect their lien, that they are in first lien position. If for some reason the buyer stops making payments, they can foreclose on that property. So on the title side, the title search also informs the seller if they have liens or judgments that they might not know that are attached to the property. It also informs the seller who is of legal owner of the property. So the escrow side of it is going to protect both buyer and seller because we're a neutral third party holding the funds. So if there's a cancellation that gets ugly, we've got the money. So if the buyer runs away and never comes back, the seller at least has earnest money. Maybe it's $1,000, $5,000. So if they had to keep the property off the market for a month, that is hopefully to compensate them.
Offsets that.
If the buyer runs away, right? And if unfortunately the buyer, if there is an out for the buyer, and then the buyer can get the earnest money back. So, if there's a loan contingency, appraisal contingencies, there's numerous contingencies in the contract.
they haven't given their money to the seller who's going to refuse to give it back.
That's exactly right. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We're going to go a little more in depth on our next episode. You've got some great information as far as how to look at all these documents that you just talked about. So join us next time, and we'll see you then.
Hey, thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team. If you are thinking about buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, please reach out to us. We are local here in Tucson, Arizona, but we are also connected to over 4,000 agents across the US. So again, looking to buy, sell, or invest in your hometown, reach out to us and let us connect you.